Hello and welcome. Good evening. Welcome to another edition of Democratic Newsroom, where the country's best editors come together to discuss the burning issue of the week. This time we're talking about Diljit Dosanjh being in the line of fire for his collaboration with a Pakistani artist, with Hania Amir, who was blocked. Her social media accounts were blocked in India after the Pahalgam attacks, after her criticism of India and Operation Sindoor. So the question we're asking is whether India should once and for all cut the culture cord with Pakistan. Joining me here in the studios, we've got Gaurav Sawant to my right, Pooja Shale and Anjali Istwal. We also have Geeta Mohan, a foreign affairs editor, Nikhil Naz, who tracks all things sport for us. We'll have Rajdeep Sardesai with us here in the studio in just a bit. Gaurav, I'd like to begin with you. What do you make of this entire controversy surrounding Diljit Dosanjh? Do you think it's time for us to kind of call it quits with any ties with Pakistan culturally?
As long as Pakistan continues to bleed Indians, we should not have any cultural or sporting ties with a state sponsor of radical Islamist terror is my strong belief. And why? Because the same actors, the same cricketers, the same members of the civil society, they come to India, they mint money, and then they go back and spew venom against India. Some of the cricketers are openly seen in the company of terrorist organizations like Lashkar-e-Taiba or Pakistan's ISI that has for the past 7 decades since independence, 7 decades plus, followed one consistent policy of trying to bleed India. So for them, it's all about killing Kafir Hindus. For us, it's all about making friends and Aman Ki Asha. There is no Aman Ki Asha from the Pakistani side, whether the government or majority of the civil society.
Okay, Rajdeep, your comments. Do you agree with Gaurav? There's no Aman Ki Asha from Pakistan. Why should we be accommodating of the artists?
Look, I'm very clear on this. Aman Ki Asha is necessary but not sufficient. That's where I have changed my view. I believe there should be people-to-people contact. My friend Gaurav Sawant sadly hasn't been to Pakistan. I've been there a dozen times.
And thankfully I haven't been to a state sponsor of radical
please,
Islamist terror.
now you must nobody stopped you. The fact is, at the end of the day, the people of Pakistan and the people of India should have people-to-people contact. You should have cultural contacts, you should have music concerts, you should have cricket matches. Please have all of that. But do not expect that to change the nature of the Pakistani army rogue state. That's where I've changed. I thought for a while that Aman Ki Asha would help, or the idea of people-to-people and cultural contacts would help break the divide and would eventually force the Pakistani army rogue state to realize that this policy of terror against India or permanent hostility to India will not work. There, I must confess, I have been proven wrong, and I concede that I no longer believe that that will change the mindset of the Pakistani army state. But despite that, for all the love and affection that I have got from the people on the other side of the border, I will continue to encourage myself and the next generation, please explore Pakistan, and I would urge Pakistanis, please explore India, because that is you can change history, you cannot change geography, you cannot change your neighbors.
Explore Pakistan, come to Pakistan and have a blast. That is what happens in Pakistan, literally and figuratively. You may consider it foolish, but 166 people massacred in 26/11 Mumbai terror attacks. They do not think it is foolish.
I agree. It is Pakistani army state.
No, there is no difference between Pakistani army state. Listen to the comments that Shahid Afridi, you want all that cricketing ties with Pakistan. He goes and breaks the television in his own house because his daughter wants to watch an Indian television serial. Look at the hatred those Pakistani radical Islamists have against India. It's because of this stupid Aman Ki Asha that we are bleeding.
You're giving examples of extremists over here. There are people in Pakistan.
I'm not giving examples of extremists here. They are mainstream Pakistan. This film actress is mainstream Pakistan.
Let's talk about this case, Hania Amir.
You're only talking about extreme cases. What Rajdeep is saying, and I agree with him, is that there are people in Pakistan who also suffer at the hands of the military.
Well done. They should wake up and they should go out after their military.
You can say it's not my problem, but are they saying that it is not?
Let's take this one at a time. Let's take this one at a time.
Easy. It's not that easy to... problem. Exactly. A lot of people would say that's not our problem, but for people like Rajdeep or Nikhil or I who've traveled to Pakistan know it's very different to live in a military state where you can't help it. So whether we should get a Hania Amir who spoke against India and sided with the Pakistani military is a different question altogether.
So what's your answer to that?
I don't think this was the right time, although the film was made before, but I don't think this was the right time.
Made before
to be promoting.
26/11, made before 1993 blast.
God, let
No,
me
you have a
God,
year-long
just hold on.
history.
Prime Minister
Why do
Modi-
we forget?
Prime Minister
We are
Modi-
so myopic.
Prime Minister
hold on.
Modi went to Rawalpindi after 26/11. Rawalpindi on a Pakistani helicopter.
Yes. Yes.
Well, you
Imagine.
went there, Jhappia and Papia with
Imagine.
Nawaz Sharif.
Wake up
That's
after
okay.
that. At least wake up after that.
Wake up after
that. Wake up after that.
Mr. Gaurav
Finish.
Sawant,
Go ahead.
the Prime Minister of the country went and did Jhappia and Papia with
Too many
Nawaz
Prime
Sharif
Ministers
after
went and did
26/11.
Jhappia.
I'll give you a chance to respond.
Atal Bihari Vajpayee went
Jugal,
on the
give
Lahore
us
Bus
another.
Yatra after
And then so
1993.
what happened?
I keep saying you cannot change your neighbors. I agree with you. Do not expect Aman ki Asha to transform the reality on the ground overnight. But it is necessary but not sufficient.
Okay.
To have a complete blank out between the two countries is not changing anything on the ground. That's my point. That's the flip side of your
Okay,
argument.
let me give Pooja a chance. Gaurav, I'll come back to you. But Pooja, go ahead and respond.
Let's start with the topic at hand. I admire Hania Amir, and I'll tell you why. So the producers have said the film was already shot. What do? You know, this happened before the Pahalgam terror attack. This actress, despite the film being shot and recorded, goes on social media to call India cowardly. She did not care about her business or cinema interests or collaboration. She cared about her national interests. But we should, as Indians, always be considered to be kind, tolerant, ignore all the radical statements that come in from there and anti-India. I want to add here. How many of Pakistani artists have worked in collaboration with India, benefited in money and fame? At least 14 from what my research shows. Out of the 14, at least 5. Hania Amir called India cowardly. Mahira Khan, who worked with Shah Rukh Khan, called India seriously cowardly attack. Maura Hossain said strongly condemn India's cowardly attack, Pakistan Zindabad. Fawad Khan, a reputed face even in India in terms of popularity, went ahead and said shameful attack. Not a word against their terrorism sponsored in India all these years, even in Jammu Kashmir till the day. They have nothing to say on that. But if Indian actors tend to say something, it's suddenly, why are you being anti-Pakistan? Why are you not being inhuman? And my problem with the other side view is, of course you will be treated nicely in Pakistan. Why will you not be treated nicely in Pakistan? Are you challenging their authority? Ask the ones who live in Pakistan, ask the Hindus in Pakistan, the Christians who are picked up, converted, kidnapped. That is the issue you need to talk about.
Okay.
No, but you're making
Geeta,
it very
yeah.
simplistic.
No, it is
by
not.
saying
It's a simple fact.
God,
You know,
let me finish. Let
everybody-
me finish.
Okay, let
It's a
Geeta make a
Democratic
point. I'll come to you,
Newsroom,
Gaurav.
guys. Let me finish. You're making a very simple argument, Pooja, by saying that you people are... No, we are not. Not once did we say that we're condoning any of the attacks. Not once have we said that Pakistan is a great state. We are calling it a rogue state. I don't know where you're coming from when you say what you just said about us by saying that
I'll tell you
you
what.
people,
I'll tell you.
you people will be welcome.
Geeta, it's
Okay, let her respond. Let her
quickly.
respond.
Geeta, it's expected
Geeta,
from
you asked a
Indian
question.
culture. Geeta,
and I
Indians'
am
kindness-
critical of Pakistan.
Geeta,
you asked a question.
has been long
Geeta, you asked a
misused and
question. Let
taken
her
for
answer. Go
granted.
ahead. Pooja,
We have
answer the question.
consistently been tolerant. We have consistently
Nobody,
thought,
but
अब
we're not
बदलेगा,
saying go,
अब बदलेगा।
go,
वो नहीं बदल रहा है, आप मर रहे हो, हम मर रहे हैं।
But
And yet we are expected to be the kind ones.
But how
Okay.
are you assuming that I want to go embrace Pakistan?
No, you
Okay, no,
you
no,
said
let's go
it.
beyond us.
You are
Guys,
calling for
guys,
the
hold
nation.
on.
She just said that.
Guys,
She just
hold
said
on. Let's
that.
go beyond us, please. Let's go beyond us. This is us discussing what should India and
Exactly. This is
Pakistan do.
not
Let's go
us.
beyond this studio. Nikhil, what do you think? You know, we've spoken of culture ties. A big aspect of this conversation is also about sporting ties. It comes up every single time, whether India and Pakistan should play cricket. What do you think?
I mean, I'll take the cultural and sporting ties together.
Sure.
My point is that we've not played cricket with them for more than a decade. Pulwama happened, Pahalgam happened, things continue to happen. My point is we're barking up the wrong tree. Not having cultural ties or sporting tie in no way acts as a deterrent for ultra Islamic terrorists, as Gaurav puts them. any sort of deterrent for them to stop doing. I think we need to deal with the matter at hand. Where is it that we are lacking as a country? Because we're barking up the wrong tree. Just the fact that we're discussing today about, should cultural ties be stopped or sporting ties be stopped, I think that is a smokescreen. We need to isolate Pakistan as a country if we need the desired effect. That will not happen by not having cultural ties as well as not having sporting ties. If that was the desired effect, how is it that you have a vice chair of the United Nations Security Council of Pakistani? You need to find a way to ensure that does not happen. How is it that you've got the World Bank to have them give loan? That is something that we need to work on, and not at things as stopping, cultural ties or sporting ties. Does that help? We've already stopped playing cricket with them, as I said, for such a long time. There have been instances where countries have been isolated. For example, Russia was. How did that happen? Because the Western Bloc got together and you isolated that. At the moment, if you don't have cultural ties or sporting ties, you as a country would be isolated. There's nobody else standing with you. And my point is, your bigger adversary, if this is the stance that we're going to have, that no sporting ties, no cultural ties, your bigger adversary at the moment is China. That's taken hundreds of kilometers of your territory, is funding that Islamic terror in Pakistan. Why do we still use Chinese cars in our country? Why is it that we're using Chinese phones? If this is the road that we're going to go down, and you think that this is what is going to help us ensure that there is no terrorism, then we must stop everything to do with
Turkey. Nikhil should be our next primetime anchor rather than just doing sport. He has spoken the best out of all of us. Well done, Nikhil.
What do you agree with, Rajdeep, from what
He's
Nikhil said? That the
absolutely right.
boycott?
He's bang on. Where is
the outrage against China?
A, where is the outrage against China? B, the fact is that over the last 12 years, as he says, we have not played in any test series, correct me, 12, 13 years since 26-11, maybe longer that we haven't played with them. The fact is, it's not worked as a deterrent. I am saying at some stage, you will have to work to put the maximum pressure on the Pakistani army state. For example, the Indus water treaty that you put in abeyance. Please use every diplomatic tool, political tool available. At the end of the day, though, please do not completely disregard the fact that these are two countries that are bound together by some kind of a deeper link.
Like
that is
what? What is this deeper
indescribable.
link?
I have not gone to any other country where I have seen this crazy schizophrenia, where they will love you at one level and also have this immense hatred that is built by the system around you. The only way you can change that, a lot of young people, the kind of history books that are being taught in India and in Pakistan are designed to hate each other. The fact is, you are going to have to find a way to break that wall of hatred. That's all I'm saying. I don't know how it's going to be done.
Calling out Pakistan and their brutality.
Please call them out. Please call them out. Please call them out. Who is saying don't call them out?
How is it hate? If I'm
please
talking
call
about
out the
all the wrongs that
please
Pakistan
call out
has
the
done.
hatred of please call out the Pakistani army state again and again. But the people of Pakistan, you are going to have to find some way to reach out to them, because there is no other country where I'll see a poster at a World Cup final, Madhuri de do Kashmir le lo.
Okay, I just have one thing to say here. I've been listening to all of you.
Sorry.
Firstly, I have 3 points to make. One, you cannot cut cultural ties because we are the same people culturally. Okay, so I agree with Nikhil here. If you do not continue with this, then how do we connect and how do we improve the situation? Secondly, coming back to the topic at hand, Diljit Dosanjh. My question is, why do you let them work if you don't want them to, don't encourage film industry to get these Pakistani artists to work and create some sort of a system.
Anjali. For more than a decade, no
exactly.
Pakistani. That's not helped. That's the point.
No, my point is, you are shooting this film in UK so that you can work with a Pakistani artist. Okay, and here, think of the business loss. Here, I agree with you. Think of the business loss of the producer. We have to look at the business side also. Come on, why? A product is created, now you're closing the market just because suddenly you've realized, okay, this film was shot in February, now we can come out with it, but there is a problem now. Either the producers should have thought about this in long term, that we do not have a working relationship with them, and there was an earlier ban, supposed ban, or you bring in a proper ban. But to suddenly come up and say, now we should not have any cultural ties and we should completely boycott Pakistan, that does not work.
Okay.
Either you make a policy about it, let the government come out with a policy that from now on you cannot do any sort of business with
there's
them.
no
Then shut
policy
down
right
the
now.
businesses.
There's no policy right
Exactly,
now, which
there
is what
not.
Anjali is saying. Gaurav, what do you think? There's a view here that Nikhil also has put out that these kind of boycotts, targeting of culture, cricket doesn't help.
I mean, that's a very myopic view if I put it, and if I am permitted to speak without being interrupted each time. Look, South Africa was boycotted because of apartheid, and terrorism is worse than apartheid. It's not less, okay? So the world boycotted South Africa. They got rid of apartheid. If you have the will, boycott Pakistan, follow it to the hilt, and it doesn't have to be a decade. It may take a century, but just follow it through. That's point one. Point two, you think there is a cultural tie with Pakistan and we are the same people. Do Pakistanis think the same way? कोई पाकिस्तानी एक अरब को अपना बाप बोलता है, कोई तुर्क को अपना बाप बोलता है, वो कभी हिंदुस्तानी को अपना बाप नहीं बोलता है. So you have to live and accept ground realities. Pakistanis don't think that their fathers and their forefathers were Indians. They think they are Arabs and they think they are bloody Turks. So they need to wake up.
Look at the language being used.
So
you are a
that is
civilized.
something.
Please use
That is
some
something.
civilized language.
Hold on, Rajdeep.
You have absolutely no clue then of Pakistan. This is the
Really,
problem.
the
people who speak on Pakistan have never been to Pakistan.
I'm not permitted to complete my sentence. I'm not permitted to complete my sentence, and that is the problem. Because you cannot argue with me on facts, you have to interrupt me each time. You have to interrupt me each time. I'm giving you facts. Was apartheid was South Africa banned for apartheid or not banned? No, tell me about South Africa and apartheid. Was that a reason? Yes or no? Point one. No, that's point one.
Let me complete making his points.
The tragedy is you're not letting me complete my points.
Go ahead.
Point one, South Africa banned apartheid. Point two, 1980 Olympic Games, Russia, the entire Western Bloc boycotted Olympic Games because they wanted to make a point. 1984 Los Angeles Games, the entire Soviet Bloc banned because they wanted to make a point. That was not the reason
the Cold War ended.
No, hold on. Again,
please
when you were speaking, the tragedy in you, Rajdeep, you do not have arguments on facts, so you will say foolish arguments.
You have damned every Pakistani by claiming that they do not have an Indian heritage. What an idiotic statement to make.
This is very silly, Rajdeep. I don't understand you. I'm sorry.
You cannot make this statement.
Let's tone this down.
You cannot make this statement.
You're not telling me because you don't have a counter argument.
Let's tone this down. Let's tone this down.
You are making an extreme statement based on common
Is terrorism worse than apartheid?
Just hold on, Rajdeep Gaurav. Hold on, please. I'm the moderator. Just a second. Time out. Let's calm down. Take a breath. Nikhil, go ahead.
Just to reply to a few comments that Gaurav made, I completely agree with him. So how did apartheid or how did you isolate South Africa? The entire world got together.
Exactly.
That's what I'm saying. The failure is at a diplomatic level of right now what India suffers from. Pakistan was to host a Champions Trophy. India tried very hard to ensure that rights are taken away. That wasn't possible. What happened in the end? Only our matches we played outside. The rest of the world went to Pakistan to play. The problem is, that's why I say, if you're going to do this, right now, when you talk about the Moscow Games, everyone got together. That's where your diplomatic powers come in. And I'm sorry, but we've been a failure at that. And it's not sports that's responsible for it. So how do you do it? Today, now you need to boycott China because they assist Pakistan. You need to boycott Turkey because they helped them. You need to boycott Azerbaijan because they helped them. So now what happens? So what happens when you come up against a Chinese badminton player in Olympics? The whole world is going to play Olympics. That time, the entire, one Western bloc boycotted the Olympics. Here, the Indian players will be boycotted. Olympics will carry on. There'll be no India. Cricket tournament will happen. There'll be no India.
Make a beginning. At least start.
My point is, not having cultural sporting ties. Those Maulanas who support the radical Islamists that you talk about, they will not watch this Diljit Dosanjh film. They don't care about it. They will not watch the cricket match that you and I are talking about, right? So they're not affected whether that film happens or it doesn't happen. You need to go to the root of the problem and tackle the issue at hand.
The root of the problem is Pakistan state-sponsored radical Islamist terror.
So
that is the root point.
I agree.
My final point is, let the citizen decide. If they don't think that a Pakistani actor should be acting with Diljit Dosanjh, nobody will watch that film. If nobody wants to see India-Pakistan play, nobody will watch that match. The highest watched match in the World Cup right now is India-Pakistan.
No, it's India-Australia.
Let the people
It's India-Australia.
No, but that was a final.
So India-Australia, it will gradually move forward.
I will take from what Nikhil is saying. That's an interesting point. So let's talk about Indians. Let's forget Pakistanis for a minute. What do Indians want? want. Indians want the soldiers to fight at the border and die against the Pakistani attacks. When it comes to artists, what do they want? They want to continue their collaborations because art knows no borders. Activists want to celebrate the Mohabbat-e-Karawan because at this juncture we need to go beyond, we need to be in denial basically and continue to believe as Indians that you can bring a change with the people-to-people connect. We've seen that's not happened. Indian academicians, some journalists included, want to continue with the career, they want to continue with their, whether it's scholarship, whether it's interviews, anything, they want to continue with their career as well. So eventually, sabka bahi khata chalta rahe, jawan border par marta rahe. This is where the Indian responsibility also has to come in. When an attack happens, and this is not the first time, 2016 it happened, 2019 it happened, Pulwama, there have been restrictions against Pakistani artists earlier as well. There have been trouble with films that have had Pakistani artists, and we've given them opportunities. We have let that people-to-people connect happen, and we've seen, आप करते जा रहे हैं और आप मरते जा रहे हैं.
I'd like to just come
Go
here
ahead.
and say one thing. I take issue with only one statement that you made, where you said that Indians want soldiers to die at the border. Nobody wants soldiers to die
That's not
at
what
the
I said.
border.
I'm surprised, Geeta, that's what you picked on. I
No,
said,
you said that.
soldiers are fighting because they have to fight.
No,
They
you
have the
said
orders.
that. Please go back and
Geeta,
see. You
what-
said that.
Okay,
Nobody
Geeta,
wants
what I
soldiers
meant
to
to,
die
I need to
at the
clarify this,
border.
Akshita,
Let
one
Pooja
point.
say it. Let
What
Pooja
I
say it.
meant was soldiers have
Just
to
say what
fight.
you
And
meant.
Indians believe that that's a soldier. He'll fight against the Pakistani militia or the military. What are we doing as Indian citizens?
I'm
Is
just
our
saying,
responsibility.
no Indian wants to see soldiers die at the
I'm
border.
really surprised if that's what you took from my
that's
side.
what you
It's
said.
a
Anjali,
language
yeah.
thing. Let's put that apart. I feel as citizens and as Indians, or for that matter, even Pakistanis over that side, if this lady Hania was such a popular person in India, who has made her popular in India? Isn't it every single Indian who's sitting and watching her? So if they are profiting from them, it's because we are letting them profit. So, you know, what I don't understand is, till yesterday everybody is comfortable watching Pakistani serials and Pakistani influences, and then suddenly one day you decide, no, we don't have to. We can't.
No,
because
that happens after almost every single attack.
And
Then you
that's
start
the
talking about
tragedy
boycott.
that we
then stop
in
consuming
India,
their
we in
content.
India, we
Stop
lack-
consuming their content. Stop
we
giving
lack
that importance if
consistency
you
as a
don't want
nation.
them. If not, if you want them, then embrace them.
Okay.
But seriously, I'm just feeling bad for the producers, frankly. You made a product and now they can't even sell it. Okay, fine, they are not releasing it in India, which is a good thing.
No, but then, yeah, the question I tend to ask here is also, Rajdeep, about whether, you know, we talk of boycotts, we never actually do it. It comes in for some time and there's all of this anger, and then it dies down. We go back to business as usual. In Pakistan, whereas you don't see that kind, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but you don't see Indian artists being welcomed the way Pakistani artists are being welcomed here.
That's a great point, and it's a point I've made to a lot of Pakistani friends over the
So
years.
why is
didn't
that?
you have a Lata Mangeshkar, for example, come to Pakistan, even as Mehdi Hasan would regularly come to India? I agree with you that there are, you see, the nature of the Pakistani state is built on endless hostility to India. I refuse to accept that the nature of Pakistani civil society, and I'm making the distinction between state and, is built on the endless hostility. What an Shahid Afridi says or what someone says is not necessarily representative of each and every Pakistani. And I maintain that you cannot change your neighbors, and therefore, again, to take Gaurav's point of 100 years from now, I would like to believe 100 years from now, as has happened, let's say in Europe, borders will eventually melt. I mean, this was Europe which fought the world's most bloodiest wars in the 20th century, and today is part of a giant EU where you can move from one country
So
to the other.
what are you suggesting then by borders melting?
I believe in 100 years from now, if you stick at it and build civil society's links to the point where eventually the Pakistani state will be humbled by its people. It won't happen today, it won't happen 10 years from now. But since I was just given a 100-year time frame and I look at what's happened in Europe, उम्मीद पे दुनिया कायम है. I may be a dreamer. I may be a dreamer. You can abuse me for what I do. You can call me anti-India, anti-national, and I will not take certificates on that.
Abusing
No, because at the end of
don't take certificates on that.
the truth at the moment is anyone who calls for people-to-people contact with Pakistan is called anti-national. And that is the tragedy of this country. That is the tragedy of what we have become as people.
Okay, Geeta. Yeah, and then I'll come to Gaurav. Geeta.
It's interesting that people think Indian content is not consumed in Pakistan.
Not consumed. I'm saying, do they embrace Indian artists?
No, wait.
Are we allowed to work on
coming
Pakistani films?
I'm coming to that.
Yeah.
I'm talking about consumption because Anjali
Pakistan
also said
lives
that.
in Indian films.
Do you know, they illegally have satellites, each one of them in their homes, so that they can consume the Ekta Kapoor serials. That they watch Indian serials more than they actually enjoy their
Really?
own.
We all prefer
Not
their
many,
serials.
not many people know how
No, but
crazy
first,
they are about
you're saying
Indian
that's illegal.
Yeah.
Indian films.
No, having satellites.
Secondly, my question is,
You can't- we
do you
also can't
have, do you
have
have,
satellites.
do you have, do you
It's
have a
illegal.
Bollywood actor working in the Pakistani film industry, working in a
They don't
Pakistani
have
film?
to. Why would he
go to work in
Do
a
you not?
Pakistani?
But that's my question. Do they embrace your artists?
They
I
would
mean,
love to.
Can they
One of the
afford
most
it?
successful, one of the most successful programs, one of the most successful programs during the recent Champions Trophy, one of the most successful programs was done by ARY TV. Correct me if I'm wrong. Where it was a Pakistani TV which had Wasim Akram, Sunil Gavaskar, and all, and it was watched by people of both
And I'll
countries
give
in a
you
huge amount.
another
On a
example.
Pakistani TV, they had Indians who were, and Gavaskar did not pull his punches back. He questioned Pakistan, questioned its terror, but they had him on air.
So you're saying they embrace our
No,
artists?
I'm not saying they embrace. We have to work at it.
No,
They do.
I'll
I'm saying
give
they
you,
do.
I'll
You're
give you an
saying they do.
example.
I'm saying they do.
No,
They
no,
love it.
no, I'm
They
saying many
watch
of them
Indian
do,
Just
many
let
of
me
them
give you
don't.
one
They're
example.
crazy
I'll
about
give you a
Indian
real life
actors.
example.
They would love Indian actors to
give
go
you a
visit
real life
Pakistan.
example. I think Virat Kohli has more fans in Pakistan than in India. I witnessed that, and I will tell you this: Pakistan lost that match. I was there in Melbourne. Every Pakistani fan I spoke to said, yes, our team has lost, but I'm happy. And I said, why? He said, because Virat was the man of the match. I can never believe an Indian fan say that on a day that the Indian team has lost. So just to let you know, if they embrace it, they feel the Indian team is far superior. They're bigger fans of Virat Kohli, Rohit Sharma than they are of their own team. And that's a reality that I've witnessed.
Look, I mean, all this Aman ki Asha is fine, but I'll just go by what's the ground reality. And unfortunately, Pakistan over decades cultivated a certain ecosystem in our country, and that ecosystem does bad for Pakistan. There was a certain ISI agent called Ghulam Nabi Fai. Ghulam Nabi Fai would invite certain Indian journalists, intellectuals, academics, civil society influencers to these five-star junkets in the United States of America, and they would take this take this line about how everything Pakistan is so good and everything India is so bad, and what India is doing in Kashmir is so bad, and what Pakistan is doing in their Kashmir is so good, and the works. Pakistan's useful idiots were created by Pakistan's ISI. My only point is, if Pakistani civil society wants good relations with India, let them come out and criticize Hafiz Muhammad Saeed and put pressure on the Pakistan government. Put Hafiz Saeed in jail for 2611. That would be evidence. Let Pakistani newspapers and their journalists write editorials with evidence that this is evidence against Hafiz Saeed. Put him in jail. Then I will see that journalists
So
are fearless. No. Let me complete. Let me complete. Okay, one odd story about Kasab being a Pakistani and then certain people being hit at, and all that is immaterial. Pakistan's Federal Investigation Agency carried out a full investigation in 2611. They found out that the 10 terrorists were trained in Pakistan, armed by Pakistan. They even matched the bullet casings that were found in Mumbai and the casings that were found in Thatta, Sindh. That level of investigation. 2611 happened in 2008. Now we are in 2025. No action has been taken against the 2611 Mumbai terror attacks perpetrators. Dawood Ibrahim Kaskar, and since all our friends have been to Pakistan so many times, I'm sure they've also been to Karachi, and I'm sure they've been to Clifton. I'm sure they know where Dawood Ibrahim stays. I would have been very impressed if one of them had done a story. This is where Dawood Ibrahim Kaskar stays.
He's got it wrong.
And,
1996, outside Dawood Ibrahim's house, I've done a story exposing counseling.
Correct.
This is the problem.
Again, you're not letting me complete.
No, you
hold Pakistan's feet to fire. You hold Pakistan's feet to fire because 257 people were massacred in Mumbai.
So
257. No, hold on. Hold Pakistan's feet to fire. We'll have good relations with you once you take action against Dawood Ibrahim. Not Parfantri.
Just a second. Rajdeep, go ahead.
story
Rajdeep, you wanted to say something.
Action लो पाकिस्तान के खिलाफ action होना चाहिए.
Just hold on, Geeta. Yeah.
Gaurav Sawant asked, have you all done a story? I went to Clifton, went to Karachi, did a story outside Dawood's house. Not too many journalists have done that. We got exactly his address, did it,
Didn't
brought
some
the story.
Indian journalists also
It doesn't mean I am not in government. I cannot extradite Dawood. I wish I could.
At least
I cannot take out
pursue
Dawood.
that story.
I can only do.
Pursue that story.
Sir, we have pursued the story. We have put all the facts. As Nikhil also earlier said, there are a lot of issues that have to be handled at a government-to-government issue. You want the world to boycott Pakistan? Let's do it. Please get the government to do it. We want Pakistan to be on the. We want Pakistan to be on the
When
federal
your own
action.
country does not boycott Pakistan, how will you get the world to boycott Pakistan?
Government has to do
So
it.
I make a
We want Pakistan to be on the Federal Financial Action Task Force grey list. Please do it. The government should do it. We want Pakistan to ensure that there is no
So the
IMF
government
second
is
tranche.
working.
No.
Government is working on those. No, Rajdeep, the list you're giving is all from what we've been
The truth
reporting
of the
only.
truth of the matter is, governments also realize what we in a TV studio don't. Eventually, as Mr. Vajpayee did and other leaders, at some stage you end up having to deal with Pakistan. It happens time and again. Every now, why did Prime Minister Modi go? I think it was a well calculated move both to bring Nawaz Sharif.
You just mocked him. Rajdeep, you mocked him 15 minutes ago.
Both
I don't think Modi going to Rawalpindi was a good idea.
No. In the sense, both, it may not have been a good idea. But
It is not.
Mr. Modi realized that at some stage you're going to have to work or deal with Pakistan. He brought Nawaz Sharif for his swearing in, went there, it didn't work. Because the Pakistani state remains inimical to you, and there are enough elements in this country who believe there is no need to have a dialogue with Pakistan. As a result, we are in this frozen turbulence. I feel sorry that citizens therefore get caught in this frozen turbulence, and the animosity on those sides is increased because we look to find areas where we hate each other rather than finding areas of commonality. And I believe unless you find those areas of commonality, it will get only worse, not better. That's all I want to say.
I want to respond to Gaurav,
Okay, Geeta,
please.
and then Pooja. Yeah,
Can I just
Geeta.
respond to Gaurav? Gaurav, you said that, why aren't people reporting or doing things in Pakistan against Hafiz Saeed? There is a real threat to their lives if they do that. And I'm telling you with experienced reporters who've gone there. They can't even shoot in front of Hafiz Saeed's house. He is
Imagine.
a state.
But that's the
So
reality
you
of
want to be
Pakistan.
Imran and Aman ki Asha.
That's the reality
And you
of
want-
Pakistan.
that's the
That's the
reality.
reality of Pakistan. But
So
then
wake up-
Pakistanis.
Okay.
Pakistan, the state.
Okay, you're
I
saying
make a point
military.
here.
Pooja.
Right now,
extremists.
as
Okay,
we are having this discussion, what is going on our ticker in the lower band? And I'm sure the team will put it again. Terrorist encountered in Udhampur after the attack. Every time someone says we have to have a people connect, I understand that, I respect that. I'm against cancel culture, I'm against boycott calls. I think we need to have interactions. For me, in Riyasi, 2 children by Pakistani terrorists were shot dead in the head. In Riyasi, when in a village, in Dangri village, when on the IEDs, children were killed to pieces because of the IEDs, again sponsored by Pakistan. I don't want to go back to Kashmir, but let's go there as well. Nadimar Gwandhama, little babies were shot in the head by Pakistani and local terrorists. So my point is, every time these attacks happen, Indians come forward to say that we need to have a people-to-people connect. What are the Pakistanis saying? Are you really telling me Pakistanis are not aware of the terrorism being sponsored in India? Why can't they get up and talk about it? And if they can't talk about it, why am I always expected to be the tolerant one and say, shayad change ho jayega aur pyar badhate hain?
Arey nahi, we're not saying
That's
that.
my
Nobody
view.
is saying that. Who is saying that?
Nobody
What are you
saying
saying?
that.
So what are you
Pakistan
saying?
is a problem for India.
Why shouldn't Pakistan civilians come out on the streets too for India and for
Just
India?
a couple of things.
That's not my concern. That's not my
Prime Minister
concern.
is in jail. If the
Just-
Prime Minister cannot speak over their ex-Prime Minister, he's in jail, he cannot come out.
So civilians
I think
agree?
expecting that
Civilians
much out of
agree?
civilian
Pooja,
citizens
So
is too
civilians
much.
agree in
You know,
Pakistan that they're living in a
they-
horrid state.
Probably
They do, I
more
think.
terrorist
Most of them
attacks
do.
in Pakistan than
Many
there
of
are
them
in
do.
India. Secondly, you quoted all these instances of these terrorist attacks that have happened. So what are you supposed to do? You need to tackle the terrorists that did it, right? We still haven't found the terrorists that were there.
But we have hit
in
them
Belgaum.
at the
No, but what are
headquarters.
we going to do? Let's not play cricket with them. Let's not watch their films. Let's not cast their actors there. How is it that a solution
That's not
towards
all
it?
that we are doing,
That's
and that's
exactly
the
what we're
point.
doing.
So
is
Prime
it a-
Minister Narendra Modi, Rajdeep, he went to Raiwind, but after that he realized that Pakistan is a rogue state And because Pakistan remains a rogue state, after that we don't have that diplomatic interaction post 2019. And that is why it was Brahmos
Okay,
ki
hold on,
bhasha.
Rajdeep, let him finish.
You
I'll
don't let
come
me
to you. I'll
complete
give
my
you a chance to
point.
respond.
Untruths.
The High Commissioners were withdrawn.
There has been back channel diplomacy that has been relentlessly going on. There are details of that.
Rajdeep, how has India hurt Pakistani civilians, children?
so then
Never.
why
Pakistan has done
again,
that to us
ma'am,
repeatedly
I
over the years.
I agree with all that
Again,
you're
I'm not
saying.
being allowed
Why
to
is back
complete
channel
my
diplomacy
point. I
going
am
on?
sorry,
We
why
are
don't you guys
We
let me
have
complete
5
my
minutes
point?
to go. Hold on. We have
Why
5
can't I
minutes to go.
complete my
I'm going to
point?
give everyone a chance to give closing comments. Gaurav, you first.
You know, everybody speaks uninterrupted. The moment I speak, people start
Go ahead,
interrupting in 10
Gaurav, go
seconds.
ahead.
The point I'm trying to make is the moment you realize Pakistan is a rogue state and will not improve, there's no longer Aman ki Asha, and there is that Brahmos ki Bhasha that we've seen post Pahalgam. And if this is the only language Pakistan understands, it's not just for the government to speak this language. You bombed 11 of their air bases, 13 including their radar stations. You hit them hard militarily. But it's not just the government's war. It is India's war on Pakistan state-sponsored radical Islamist terror. And my humble appeal is, I hope every Indian, including all these Diljit Dosanjhs of this world, I hope everyone realizes Indian lives matter. You know, you'll go on a bent knee on Black Lives Matter. Please, for once, Indian lives matter. Stand as one people against Pakistan state-sponsored terror. And if it means no truck with Pakistan till their civil society rises against their state, please do that.
Okay.
Do that so that your lives can be, your children hopefully will remain safe.
Okay, closing comments from Alpooja. Next.
My point here is simple. Like we say, Pakistanis cannot react and respond against the establishment. I would believe that that's true. That I am completely on the ball with that. But why can't Pakistani in the US, UK, other countries do it? If the Indians consistently are going forward to say, despite everything that Pakistan has done, we're willing to open bridges for you, there will have to be Pakistanis also to come forth on the stage and show to Indians that they are against what their governments have been doing, what their military ISI have been doing, and they want to form that bridge. Because India, and I'm very proud to say this, whether it's artists, whether it's intellectuals, we've given them consistently chances, support, encouragement, that we are ready to open the bridge, only to have a terror attack at us.
Anjali.
See, my opinion is if you want to cut ties with them, and if the people want to cut ties with them, then fine. But the problem is you cannot impose something on people, okay? So we love the Pakistani artists. We all listen to them. Indian Coke Studio barely works. Pakistani Coke Studio is always top of the charts. So if we consume their content and we like it, then you can't cut ties. And I've always said this, culturally, we are the same and we have to accept them. Although Gaurav may say that they are different people, but they were Indians
They
once.
consider themselves.
Okay.
They don't consider themselves Indian.
Okay,
they look
okay.
at themselves as Turks or Arabs or whatever else. They look for a
Closing
new dad
comments,
every day.
closing comments. Nikhil.
I mean,
Geeta, hold on. Nikhil, I'll come to you next.
Doesn't matter what they consider themselves. I mean, as a genetic enthusiast, if you were to look at the genetic data, this is something it's a genetic proof that me as a North Indian would be probably, you know, with the
Closer to
similar
a
gene line
Pakistani.
than a Pakistani, than a fellow Indian who may be down south of India. And
Like
this is a genetic proof, science, nothing that we can argue over. Coming back to the point at hand, I mean, if I had to just sum it up, I think, as I said, we need to deal with Pakistan. I'm not happy with these terror attacks, and as an Indian I would want to support my government, but they need to tackle things that will actually be a deterrent to ensure that there are no more terrorist attacks. And cultural and sporting things are just, as I said, they're smoke screens. We can keep talking about it, but none of that. And anyway, we've stopped having any Pakistani actors in Bollywood or having bilateral cricket ties. None of that has helped. So let's deal with the issue at hand. And as far as cultural and sporting ties are concerned, or content is concerned, let the citizenry decide what they need to do. I think a mature democracy is that they don't push their views and tell the citizens what they need to do. If they do feel that this is going to have an impact on Pakistan, they themselves will not watch the film.
Geeta,
No,
closing comments.
I agree with Nikhil. Who am I to tell somebody what you should be watching or listening to or not? It's for you to decide. If you ask me, Pakistan has been a problem. It has, for somebody who's covered the beat for so long, it is a problem, but it's the state and the groups, extremist groups that the state supports, That's a problem, not the people. People themselves in Pakistan are suffering at the hands of the Pakistani military. If you need proof, go listen and watch Ahmed Noorani's statements in Geneva, and you'll see the kind of repression people face who stand up to the Pakistani establishment. It's a very difficult country to live in. And therefore, when we say that people are different, make that distinction. Make that distinction. It's important. People are different from the state, and the state has to be dealt with.
Okay.
Asa Munir engaged Trump. Are we going to boycott the United States of America?
Okay. Rajdeep, closing comments, please.
I have no closing comments to offer.
You have no closing comments.
I have no closing comments to offer. Whatever I had to say, I had to say. I guess I
Okay, let me put a question across to you to end this, which is that do you think that we should be talking about a boycott only because you then ensure a holistic action against Pakistan and not just a one-track action?
Look, I just believe at the end of the day, my experience, and maybe as I said, I'm anti-national dreamer, romantic, my experience has been that the only way that you can build a better world is through people-to-people contact. The world has shown in the last 50 years, wherever you build walls, those walls only end up creating more and more hate and divide. Wherever you build bridges, those bridges eventually, it may be a slow, tedious process, they do make a difference. And I would like to believe that whether Pakistan has bridge builders or not, this wonderful country of India has lots of bridge builders.
Okay.
And therefore, just because the enemy country is unwilling to have the kind of culture, embrace us as you seem to believe they are unwilling to do, hum to karenge. Hum to karenge. I will condemn. I am part of a cricket group of Indians and Pakistanis. We fiercely argue every day, and I find some of their views unacceptable. I find some of their views acceptable, and we should have a dialogue in a civilized way without name calling. The more we do that, maybe 50, 100 years from now, we will realize that we have an enormously shared past and hopefully an even better future.
Okay, should we build bridges? Should we boycott? We leave it to you.
30 seconds.
No.
I ran out of time. I gave all of you
All I want to
closing
say
comments.
is, I seriously want to say,
Gaurav
yes,
can
we
remain
must build bridges with Pakistan in a terror and violence-free environment.
Okay.
If there is terror coming from Pakistan,
Now we
please
leave it-
keep a terrorist
we
at
leave
an
it to the
arm's
viewer.
length.
We leave it to the
Keep
view.
terrorists at arm's length. Gaurav and I
I'm
completely
glad we're
agree on
ending
that.
on a note where we have Rajdeep and Gaurav agreeing on something. Should we build bridges? Should we boycott? We leave it to you, the viewer, to decide. This is the Democratic Newsroom, where you get both sides. Sometimes it gets a bit heated, but you will get both sides of the discussion right here on India Today. Thank you very much for tuning in.